Peppa Pig's house always seemed like a safe place, warm and cozy, but none of its inhabitants even suspected that behind the distant mountains hide ancient secrets that are better left undisturbed. In the morning, Peppa looks at the tall mountain outside the window. Something draws her there, as if an invisible force is calling. The family has breakfast, but Peppa can't take her eyes off the mountain. Strange shadows move along its slopes even during the day. Peppa secretly packs her backpack and leaves the house. No one notices how she heads toward the mountain trail. The trail leads higher and higher, and the air becomes colder. The trees around look dead and twisted. Halfway up, Peppa meets a gray Labubu with red eyes. He silently points her way further up the mountain. Labubu walks ahead, his gray fur blending with the fog. Red eyes glow in the twilight like two little fires. Peppa follows the mysterious creature higher and higher. Her legs become heavy and her mind becomes clouded. At home, the family discovers Peppa's disappearance. Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig panic and search for her everywhere. George points to the mountain and cries. He saw his sister going there in the morning. Daddy Pig sets out to search with a flashlight. The mountain trail seems endless and ominous. On the trail, Daddy finds Peppa's red hat. It lies on a stone as if someone deliberately left it there. Gray Labubu watches Daddy Pig from behind the trees. His red eyes follow every movement. Daddy Pig climbs higher and higher, but the trail suddenly disappears. He finds himself in a strange place with no way out. Labubu appears before Daddy Pig and silently points into the void. Where the trail was, now there's only fog. At home, Mummy Pig and George wait for their return, but neither Peppa nor Daddy Pig come back. Neighbors join the search the next day. Danny Dog and Pedro Pony go to the foot of the mountain. On the trail, they find Daddy Pig's glasses. There are no more traces, as if they dissolved into thin air. Gray Labubu stands on the mountain peak and looks down. In his red eyes, silhouettes of the disappeared are reflected. Mummy Pig looks at the mountain from the window every evening. Sometimes she thinks she sees familiar silhouettes there. George no longer plays and only draws gray figures. All drawings have the same red eyes. The mountain remains silent, keeping its secrets. No one dares to climb that trail anymore. Gray Labubu waits for new travelers on the mountain trail. His red eyes are always ready to lure the next victim. Peppa's house now seems empty and cold. Two empty chairs at the table remind of those who never return. Peppa and George spent the weekend at the country house. While their parents relaxed at home, they played in the garden.
George, let's go look for treasure.
They got carried away and dug too deep. Suddenly, they fell into some underground space. It resembled an underworld. Everything around exuded horror. Peppa and George walked along a dark corridor and emerged into a huge ritual hall. The room was lit by a red glow. Walls were draped with chains. Bones and skeletons lay scattered around, and in the center stood a table.
George, look! This must be a sacrificial altar!
Peppa, I think we should leave.
George muttered nervously.
Yes, right now!
Peppa said as if she had an idea, but George was already pulling her by the hand toward the exit. Suddenly, they realized they couldn't escape on their own.
Are we stuck here forever?
Don't cry, we'll figure something out.
Peppa said, and started calling for help. Their cries brought their parents running. They were furious, but helped the piglets get out. On the way home, Peppa enthusiastically told them about the ritual hall. Her excitement frightened George. Their parents just exchanged glances and laughed. That night, Peppa said,
George, I have something special.
She pulled a small bone from under her pillow. It was glowing with a bright green light.
Peppa, you're going to get into trouble?
George warned anxiously, but Peppa didn't listen and happily played with her find. Suddenly, the floor in the nursery cracked open into two parts, and from it emerged a gigantic skeleton with red eyes, a terrible smile, black claws, and red tentacles behind its back.
You stole my bone. You will pay for this,
it said in a demonic voice. The skeleton grabbed Peppa's hand and lifted her toward the ceiling. Meanwhile, Dad and Mom Pig were sitting in the living room reading books. Suddenly, Evie ran into the room.
Bear! Where is my bear, Mommy?
Honey, he's probably lost again among your toys. Let's go find him.
Mommy Pig picked up Evie in her arms, and they headed to her room. When they opened the door, they froze in horror. Everything in the room was upside down. Walls were scratched with claws, and in the middle of the room hung Bear on a rope with black crosses instead of eyes.
My bear!
Sweetheart, it's just some evil joke.
Mom said nervously. Suddenly, they heard wild screams from Peppa's and George's nursery. The room was in chaos. George was hanging in a net in the upper corner of the room with white eyes as if hypnotized. Peppa was standing against the wall with black eyes and a creepy smile. She was whispering some spell and scratching something on the wall with a bone. Dad Pig was lying on the floor and barely managed to say, "Run!" In the center stood an ominous skeleton. It turned toward the door and whispered in that same chilling demonic voice,
Oh, we have guests. You're just in time. I just finished with these little pigs.
Peppa's family arrives at an old hotel for the weekend vacation. The place seems cozy and welcoming, but something feels wrong. A golden figure greets them at the entrance with a wide smile. The mysterious owner introduces himself as Labubu with strange politeness. Bandaged ears and ancient symbols in his eyes frighten little George. Parents notice nothing suspicious about their host. Labubu leads the family through long, winding corridors slowly. Old portraits on walls watch their every step carefully. In their room, furniture moves by itself without explanation. Beds creak loudly. Wardrobes open mysteriously during night. Peppa tries to sleep but hears whispers from the walls. Ghostly voices call her name softly and persistently. George wakes up and sees Labubu standing in the corner. His golden eyes glow brightly in the complete darkness. Labubu disappears instantly when lights turn on suddenly. His eerie laughter echoes through the long corridor menacingly. In the morning, family goes down for breakfast together. Other guests sit completely motionless at their tables. All guests' faces are pale and completely empty. They eat mechanically without ever raising their eyes upward. Labubu serves breakfast with the same creepy smile. The food smells strange and keeps changing colors mysteriously. Dad tries desperately to call home, but phone remains silent. All outside connections have been completely cut off. Mom notices all doors are locked from inside securely. Their room keys disappeared without any trace overnight. Labubu calmly explains it's for their complete safety. His voice sounds increasingly threatening and unnaturally cold. In the evening, family searches desperately for any exit. The corridors lead to nowhere and repeat endlessly. Labubu appears everywhere at once like magic. His reflections stare menacingly from every mirror around them. Peppa finds a dark basement full of old photographs. Pictures show families who never left this cursed place. George begins glowing with bright golden light mysteriously. Ancient symbols appear clearly on his small forehead. Parents change too, their eyes become completely empty. They no longer recognize their own daughter, Peppa. Labubu proudly collects his new family members forever. The cursed hotel never lets anyone leave. Peppa remains trapped among golden statues for eternity. Her beloved family is now part of hotel. New unsuspecting guests arrive tomorrow morning cheerfully. Labubu greets them with same smile. Peppa lies in her bed, darkness outside the window. Parents strictly forbade going out at night ever. Scratches appear on the nursery wall mysteriously. Something scrapes outside with sharp claws menacingly. George sees red glowing eyes in the window. Mr. Dinosaur cannot protect from real horror tonight. A shadow with long ears flickers past the window. Labubu has come for the disobedient children tonight. Peppa gets up quietly, breaking the rule completely. Curiosity is stronger than fear and parental warnings. Floorboards creak under little hooves loudly. Each step leads to unknown danger ahead tonight. The nursery door opens by itself, slowly. Labubu knows how to enter houses unnoticed. The corridor is plunged into ominous silence. Even Daddy Pig's loud snoring suddenly stopped completely. Red eyes glow in the darkness menacingly. Labubu smiles his terrifying toothy grin wickedly. Peppa freezes in horror, unable to scream. Voice disappears when meeting true evil tonight. Labubu approaches slowly, claws scraping the floor. He collects all disobedient children for collection. Toys in the house start moving by themselves. Mr. Dinosaur turns his head toward George. Susie Sheep appears with empty, glowing eyes. Best friends can become worst enemies tonight. Pedro Pony stands without his glasses on. His eyes now glow with red light. Madame Gazelle appears with eerie laughter echoing. The teacher knows secrets better left unknown. All toys and friends surround Peppa completely. Labubu turns everyone into his loyal servants. Peppa tries to run, but doors are locked. There are no safe places left anywhere tonight. Labubu extends his furry paw toward Peppa. He whispers something in strange, ancient language. Red light fills the entire house completely. Labubu takes all disobedient children away forever. In the morning, parents find only empty beds. Children vanished without a trace completely overnight. Only strange scratches remain on the wall. Labubu leaves his marks for next victims. Neighbors say they sometimes hear children crying, but no one lives in house anymore. Windows never light up again at night. Labubu will return for new victims soon. Red eyes watch from darkness outside houses. The story will repeat itself again soon. Peppa Pig's house always seemed like a safe place, warm and cozy. But no one suspected what dark secrets were hidden behind these familiar walls. Daddy Pig sat in his chair reading newspaper. Room temperature dropped suddenly. Something invisible watched from darkness. Black shadow slid across wall, taking creature's form. Ghost Labubu materialized in corner, golden crosses glowing ominously. Daddy felt cold wind and turned around. Ghost vanished, but presence feeling remained. Peppa and George played in nursery. Labubu observed family, studying each member carefully. At night, Ghost approached sleeping Daddy. His black paws reached toward man's head. Daddy woke from strange dream. His movements became slow and unnatural. Mummy noticed husband's odd behavior. He stared blankly and spoke with alien voice. Labubu seized control over Daddy's body. Ghost enjoyed new physical incarnation. Peppa ran to Daddy, but he didn't recognize her. Golden crosses flickered in eyes. Family gathered at table. Daddy sat silently, his soul trapped inside. Labubu influenced others through Daddy's body. House filled with dark energy. George cried, sensing something wrong. Mr. Dinosaur fell and broke. Mummy tried talking to husband. He smiled Labubu's terrifying smile. Ghost completely possessed Daddy's body. Real soul disappeared into darkness. Grandpa Pig visited and sensed trouble. Air became heavy and ominous. Labubu began changing house. Walls darkened, windows frosted over. Family felt fear. Their father became stranger to them. At night, Ghost wandered house. He sought way to capture remaining souls. Peppa saw Daddy in corridor. His eyes glowed golden in darkness. Labubu realized one body wasn't enough. He needed entire family. Ghost began possession ritual. House became trap for souls. Neighbors noticed house's abandoned appearance. Strange sounds echoed inside. Labubu got what he wanted. Family under control. No one suspected inhabitants' true nature. Peppa wakes up in her room. Outside the window, dawn is breaking. Everything is calm. She plays with George while Mom and Dad are busy with their chores. A strange feeling outside the window. Peppa approaches the window. The sky is gray, foggy. The air is cold. She feels a sense of unease, as if something is watching her. Distortion of reality. She washes her face and looks in the mirror. Her face changes, her eyes darken, and her smile becomes sinister. A cold blue light appears in the room, creating a distortion effect. Suddenly, the mirror cracks and shatters. Shards fall to the floor, and a shadow appears in the reflection, quickly disappearing. The room disappears, an entrance to another reality. Suddenly, objects dissolve or vanish. Peppa finds herself in a gray room with no windows or doors. The walls are covered with mysterious symbols and fingerprints. A faint rustling sound can be heard in the air. Whispers of the past, soft voices. Remember, you're not alone here. All memories are part of you. They grow louder as if someone is whispering right into her ear. Peppa feels a chill down her spine. Shadows appear. George with empty eyes, Mommy Pig with tears on her face, Daddy Pig breathing heavily, his face distorted by fear. They move or stand still, their shadows stretch across the walls, creating a creepy atmosphere. Peppa realizes the room has remembered all of the characters' fears. She searches for runes or symbols on the walls to understand what's happening. Suddenly, snake-like hands or claws start stretching out from the walls, trying to grab her. The characters begin to disappear or transform into terrifying creatures. George screams about a zombie dinosaur with empty black-red eyes. Mommy Pig cries, and her tears turn into drops of black liquid. Daddy Pig breathes heavily and looks very scared. His face is distorted by fear. At this moment, a sinister bunny appears with glowing eyes and an evil smile, watching everything with malice. Peppa decides to break the runes on the walls with a hammer. When she hits them, the walls crack and vibrate. At that moment, a huge monster emerges from the darkness, a creature with long claws, sharp teeth, and burning eyes. It growls and tries to grab her. After destroying the symbols, everything around plunges into darkness. The monster roars and disappears into an abyss. The room completely vanishes. Only emptiness or endless darkness remains. Peppa returns to her room. Everything seems normal again. But inside her remains a feeling of heaviness and fear. She sits by the window of her house with a pensive expression, gazing into the distance, as if she senses something sinister inside herself or nearby. No subscribe. Nightmares arrive. An old television in the living room flickered with blue light. An advertisement was playing, a cheerful cartoon about Labubu at the cinema. The halls were filled with viewers, but now the theater had long been closed. At the end of the clip, Labubu on the screen stretched out its hand, pointed directly at Evie. A ticket crawled out of the TV speakers, printed on sticky black paper. It smelled of mold. Papa Pig took the ticket, his eyes dulled. He took Peppa and Evie to the cinema. The building was dark, windows boarded up, heavy curtains of cobwebs hung. Inside, it smelled of dust and old sugar. They entered. Shadows sat in the hall, silhouettes, former viewers. They were frozen in their seats forever. Their eyes glowed with a sickly green light. Instead of a cartoon, a distorted version of Peppa's life played on the screen. Her friends smiled too broadly, holding Labubu. Then they showed Peppa's parents. They looked with empty eyes. All served Labubu. Papa Pig leaned toward Peppa. His breath was cold. Soon you will also become part of our happy crew. Peppa jumped up and tried to run. But suddenly the chairs in the hall came to life. Their armrests twisted, turned into black tentacles. They wrapped around her arms and legs, pinning Peppa back to the chair. Evie was projected onto the screen, but her face was Labubu's face. She was laughing. Papa Pig donned a ticket-taker's uniform. His movements became sharp, mechanical. He tore the ticket. Black ink splattered onto the floor. The session had begun. No turning back. The screen went dark. The hall plunged into silence. A sound was heard, a tearing film reel, or vocal cords.